Hello, everybody. This is Swati, live from Los Angeles. 7 a.m. here on the Pacific Coast. We have had time change, daylight savings. So since it's fall back, which means the clocks have fallen back by 1 hour. So you guys may have a different experience of time at this point, but maybe you have moved as well, and it may not be that different for you. As you can see, there is still daylight around me, which last week there wasn't. And it's a big change. Suddenly the days feel shorter because suddenly there is no light at 5:30 where I am. It gets really dark. Of course, where you are, depending upon which part of the world where you live in, your experience of what time this happens could be different. And as you can see, I even have a small jacket with me because it's kind of chilly. And believe it or not, even Los Angeles can get somewhat cold. It doesn't snow here, and it's supposed to be a warm place, but it doesn't always work out to be that way. So, in other words, there is more daylight, but it's getting cold now in Los Angeles. So, given that, what do I want to talk about? So, today I would like to address the issue of peace, harmony, and overall sense of happiness and well being. Last time we talked about relationships. We talked about how some people's quest was to have better relationships. And we talked about self-compassion in that particular context. And all that is again, yes, it is again going more towards sense of stability of emotions, and as a result, sense of well-being, more well-being. So we are already getting there. But a lot of you have explicitly said what they really want in life, what their quest is to move more towards sense of stability or happiness or peace or harmony and these kinds of things. And that's really wonderful. Don't all of us in some sense have that quest? We do. But depending upon where you are, what phase of life you are in at this point, it may be more prominent in your mind. Given that, I thought that it would be nice to address some of the issues around it. Now, when it comes to happiness, those of you who attended Dr. Raj's 6-week long happiness course, he did talk about the 7 kind of obstacles or 7 dreadful habits that you can have, which will come in the way of your happiness. So I'm not going to get too much into each one of them because that's not the purpose of our studying here or our getting together here. What we want to do is we want to see how the mindfulness philosophy can help us to get rid of some of the things that come in the way of our happiness or our sense of peace, harmony. I'm going to call it well-being because there are a lot of ways in which people describe what they want, but a sense of well-being. I have done this with you in the beginning of our once a week camp, which is to ask you what's coming in your way. What is coming in your way? What's going to happen is at different times, different specific things will come in your way. Most of the time you will see is because we take ourselves really seriously. We think of ourselves on some level, we think of ourselves or we want to be special or we want to be noticed, we want to be understood, and of course we want to survive. And survival includes physical as well as emotional. And when something happens to affect this sense of what I would say, can I call it pride or wanting to be special, the need to be understood? When something comes in our way, some emotions come in our way. And that's the time when we feel restless. Now, one of the things that can happen in this context is anger. I have talked about some of these things already in my 6 week long mindfulness camp, but I'm going to say it, some of it may be repetition, but it's okay because when you hear things again, they may make sense to you on a slightly different level or maybe on a deeper level. So when I say we take ourselves seriously, when something bad as in something that we think is bad is happening to us, our question is why me? Or we want something special or something really good to happen to us. We want to win awards, or we want to go somewhere in our career, we want to earn a lot of money, or we want to prove that I'm really good at this. We want to prove it to the world. It's not just for my enjoyment, but it is somehow to prove it to somebody. So either we want to look special, or we want, if something bad is happening, then the question is why me? Why is it happening to me? And these two things can create a sense of anger. A lot of other things, other emotions can come up, but today I would like to talk about the sense of anger when a bad thing happens. For example, I'll give you my example. I'm married to a wonderful guy who is wonderfully supportive, but nobody is perfect. So there are times when he will say things that are really hurtful to me. I think that he's judging me. And then obviously it's like, how can he say that to me? How come he doesn't understand me? More importantly, I feel like he has his own issues and he's imposing those issues or projecting those things onto me. That's even worse because you have no control over that since it's coming from the other person's issues. That's at least what you perceive it as. And when I think about it, I always come to one conclusion. First of all, my pride or my sense of self gets hurt because I'm too attached to my sense of self. It's hard for me to think about whatever he's saying to me as, oh, well, that's what he thinks. Also, if I feel like unless I respond back in anger, it may seem like I am agreeing with him, or it's okay for him to say these things to me in the future. You're afraid of these things. So all angry reactions have either hurt or fear underneath it. Either we are really hurt, like being misunderstood, or something feels like really sad, or we are afraid. We are afraid of getting hurt, feeling really hurt. Sometimes we may be afraid of survival. And in that case, instead of showing hurt or fear, what we show is anger because anger feels more powerful. When we lose control, when we cannot change things, when we cannot just quickly change fear into, yeah, I'm okay, or hurt into, I'm fine, we cannot do that. Then we feel angry because it's more powerful, feels a little bit sense of control. Because when we are angry, we are in a fight mode. Between flight and fight, we are choosing the fight mode. Fight mode means our body gets tense. All our long-term goals of being good to ourselves or eating good breakfast or sleeping well and all these things are thrown out of the window. You're not worried about any long-term good things. What you're worried about is now, right now, at the moment. I have to survive. And for that, if I fight, then I'm actually showing power. And that's what anger is about. Is it useful? Yeah, in some circumstances, of course, anger will be useful, especially when you are truly required to fight. You don't have to have anger in order to fight in today's world, if it is for causes and social things and stuff like that. However, in personal life, it seems like, okay, I need to fight. Sometimes you want to create a distance from the person. Sometimes you want to be honest about what the person is doing to you. The only way to do it, to have the courage to speak up, may seem like anger. But there is one thing about anger. anger not only makes us unhappy, but sometimes there is really, if you really think about it, anger is only one part of it. When you pay attention to underneath hurt and fear, and you kind of pinpoint what is it that's making you angry, you will see that it may not be an emotion that you need to hold on to, because it's going to make you, your body more stressful, and it's going to affect you. Once you realize that, you may have a slightly different view of anger. Also, by holding anger against other people, in a way you are spreading negative energy around you. You're spreading fear in other people's mind. You're creating distance. You're spreading unhappiness, not just for you, but for other people. And just think about, is it really necessary? Sometimes some external bad events happens to you. It's not because someone else has done something to you, but just something happens. A person in the family falls sick, or there is an accident and you lose somebody. Or sometimes it just seems like at the time when you want to achieve something, a bad event happens. So how do you take care of these kinds of things? First of all, when the question of why me comes to your mind, I want you to ask a question to yourself: why not me? Are you holding yourself as somebody so special that nothing bad should happen to you? And realize the common humanity in everybody is having some kind of, will experience some kind of painful issue at some time or the other. This common humanity helps you to reduce your issue of anger against whatever is happening to you. And given that today I've chosen anger as the issue, we are going to do a meditation to resolve the issue of anger to a certain degree. At least I'm going to teach you a meditation that will help you to look at your anger and maybe make sense of it, or maybe try to let go of it on some level. So we are doing mindfulness meditations, and obviously I'm talking about a feeling awareness meditation. But first, just look at your anger and analyze a little bit as to why this anger has come to you. What's underneath the anger? Think about an event or incident when you felt angry. Think about, first of all, is it because of just an external event? You have no control over that event? Or is it because someone else did something to you? When you think about these things, think about, is there any hurt or fear that is lying underneath this event? And while you're thinking about it, I'm going to check if, since I see some comments here, Lou is saying that she's joining us today and she has missed the community. Yes, I'm glad you're back, Lou. I assume that's how you say your name. First of all, I'm going to get rid of the bottom. I have this today's talk is about harmony and peace. And now I see another question here. From Hans, which says, when I'm angry, it's hard to turn my back and walk away. Hopefully, I'll find a way to turn my back in the near future. Yeah, it also depends on what kind of reaction you have to your own anger. Dachka is also saying that it's great to finally able to watch the sessions live. Thank you, Dachka. So Hans, first of all, yes, it depends on what reaction you have to your anger. When you get angry, sometimes there could be a violent reaction like throwing things, or sometimes even more violent than that. Some people yell and shout and say things that they don't mean it, or they may mean it on some level, but later on they regret it. So there are reactions to anger, and it would depend on that. First of all, you have to recognize that in the moment you are experiencing anger and you want to break the pattern of whatever ways in which you react, and you don't want to do that. Assuming you don't want to do that, how do you recognize that you are getting angry? That's where partly mindfulness come in the picture. So let's say that you feel, like a surge of, like some emotion coming up, almost like a racing heart, but blood is rushing to your head, or some feeling. Recognize that feeling so you know that there is anger. Also very important, after the event or incident, give yourself some time to do the meditation that we are going to do today, because in that meditation you will get some insight, I'm hoping, what happened and how or why you would like to do things differently. Once you know how you would like to react to things differently, in a peaceful, quiet, meditative state of mind, it will go deeper. It's more likely to change your behavior for the future. Just intellectual understanding doesn't help. It just means you know you should be reacting differently, but that's it. It doesn't mean you will actually do it next time. But if you allow it to go deeper, you're more likely to do it next time. That's partly why mindfulness, feeling awareness meditations will be useful for you. Okay, and Susan says, if someone does or says something to make you feel anger, is it helpful to try to say to yourself, what is that person feeling or thinking to have said that hurtful thing? Susan, that's a great question. That is absolutely helpful. And I'm hoping when you actually do the meditation, that may be one of the ways in which you would understand your anger differently. It's not always possible, though, to understand the other person's point of view, especially if that person has really hurt you. And again, you may feel that you may be condoning that person's whatever they did to you, or it may not be possible to understand them. But yes, that could be one of the effects of this meditation. And if that does happen, it's immensely useful. I think I have mentioned it in the last time in my 6-week long meditation camp, my own experience. So the way, again, today I mentioned, how my husband's comments or some of these things um, really bother me. So one time I meditated for almost hour and a half or 2 hours over my anger against something that he had done or something that he had said. The way it helped me, there was one thing that I understood somehow in my meditation, that was compassion. Compassion again about whatever he must be going through. See, I had spent a lot of time trying to teach my husband communication skills, I statements, and how not to, sort of blame other people, blame me, and all these kinds of things. That had not helped. But when I understood in my own meditation, whenever he seems to be blaming, or whenever he says something, in fact, it's because he's hurting himself. That's his reaction. His blaming or his anger is his reaction to his own feeling of hurt and fear. And when I understood what was going on with him, I held that in compassion. Again, compassion is not to look down upon it or to pity it or anything like that. It's on the same level. It's compassion. You feel it with that person. Something switched, something changed in my mind after that. Then the way I reacted to his, whenever he did that, was different. That doesn't mean I didn't get angry myself. We never had fights. It wasn't that. But it helped me to understand every time he did anything like that, I understood it on a different level. So my overall reactions changed. And I have to say that was the key point in changing my relationship or my view of my marriage or my relationship with my husband. Because when I started holding his things in compassion, it wasn't like moment by moment or in the times when we had any arguments, But my reaction to the whole situation itself changed. My understanding of everything changed slowly, and that's what then made him mellow. That made him understand that, I am with him. I'm not arguing against him. So we became more of a team. So I hope what I'm saying makes sense to you guys. So Susan, so what your question is, it absolutely makes sense to understand the other person if the anger is coming from the other person. But if you want to take care of your anger, understand it and try to change your reaction to something different. If not immediately, go back to the person and talk to the person and explain or say sorry without having to accuse them of whatever it is that you got that made you angry in the first place. So given that, I think it is time for us to do an anger meditation. Now, some of you may or may not have anger as an issue. However, I'm sure there are times in your life when you have felt angry. There's nobody who has never felt angry in our householder community. I'm not talking about people who are already have been doing this kind of stuff for years and years and who have attained a certain state of mind. But outside of that, all of us, we have experienced anger at some point or the other. So let's do a feeling awareness meditation about anger. So take a few deep breaths. And I suggest closing your eyes. Again, it's not necessary to close your eyes, but it helps because you are going to go inwards and look inwards. So it helps to not to have the outside distractions. So take a few deep breaths, close your eyes. Get my calm. And let's all come here and now. And pay attention to your breath for some time. You're here, breathing in and breathing out. Everything else is outside this door. Relax your shoulders. And your breath in and breath out. Pay attention to how your body is receiving the breath. And now allow yourself to think about an event, place, or a person when you felt angry, any situation, and allow that feeling to come to you. Now, you may or may not feel it with the same intensity. However, you will have some glimpse into whatever you felt at that time. Allow that to come to you. And just watch how your body is reacting to your anger. How, what kind of body sensations you feel when you talk about anger or think about anger or allow yourself to feel anger. Pay attention to your body first. Your head, your shoulders, your chest, your tummy, your upper and lower back. Just pay attention to how your body is reacting to the anger that you feel. And now go back to the feeling of anger and notice if it is pleasant, unpleasant, or neutral. For most people, it may be unpleasant or at this point neutral. Or for some people, depending upon the situation, they may even feel a surge of energy or a pleasant feeling because of anger. Just notice if you're feeling pleasant, unpleasant, or neutral. Keep saying to yourself, pleasant, unpleasant, or unpleasant, this feels unpleasant. Because you may feel it in your body, the unpleasant feeling. Or even outside of body, you may feel the unpleasant feelings. If you're not able to notice the body, that's okay. Just notice how overall you are feeling. Pleasant, unpleasant, neutral. Keep saying it to yourself. This is unpleasant. Unpleasantness is coming to me. As you're saying it, there may be images, there may be thoughts that are coming to you around this anger. Watch it. If you start feeling angry as you're watching it, that's okay. We're not going to do anything about it right now. You're safe. You're just simply sitting and paying attention to the feelings. If your mind wanders around and goes away to a lot of other things, that's okay. Just bring it back to where you were. Still your mind. Let's go back to my feelings. And again, start with pleasant, unpleasant, or neutral. Bring your mind back to the images and thoughts and see if you're still feeling the same feelings, the same intensity or lack of intensity, same thoughts, same images, or has anything changed? You're just lingering around these things, you're hovering around these things and watching these things. Allow your body and mind to understand on their own level by just lingering around. Bring your attention back and see if you still feel the same feelings, the same intensity, or same unpleasantness, or pleasantness, or neutral feelings. Has anything changed? Any understanding has changed in your mind? Just notice it. And at this point, we need to stop this meditation. So just for one last time, notice pleasant, unpleasant, and neutral. And come back to your breath, how your body is receiving the breath. And say the line 3 times in your own mind. Breathe in, I smile. Breathe out, I'm okay. Breathe in, I smile. Breathe out, I'm okay. Breathe in, I smile. Breathe out, I'm okay. So if you have any questions or comments, please go ahead and write them. It takes a little bit of a time for those questions to show up on my screen. Meanwhile, I want to say a couple of things. What we did today was, I'm not sure for how long we meditated, probably 10, 15 minutes. 15 minutes, I believe. So some of you may have experienced either reduction of feelings or maybe more intense anger. Some of you may have gotten some insight into what was underlying your anger. Some of you may even think about what you want to do in the future that's different, or how you want to deal with it. You may have had these kinds of insights. Sometimes if it is anger against a person, what the person has done to you, there are several ways in which you can take care of it, such as talking to the person calmly and quietly and informing them. If you are not able to talk to the people, then you can email them or write a text, depending upon if you have that kind of a communication style with these people. You can write a letter. Or some of you may just think about how you want to do different things differently next time when something like this happens. Or some of you may in fact change your view of what happened. You may hold this person in compassion. So there are several ways in which you can take care of the situation. Now it depends on who you are, what's going on. That's how you will get insight into what you want to do, what action you want to take. But this is what I would like to suggest. If you really are angry about something, if you're experiencing anger, give yourself time. Like what we did today was 10-15 minutes. That may or may not be enough, but just what we did, it was a technique. Practice this at some point in time. You may have enough or longer time available. So just hold these same kinds of pleasant, unpleasant, and noticing things and see where that takes you. Do it as long as you are not satisfied with what you have. And let's say you have to stop because of time constraint, then come back to it. And these kinds of things sometimes take time to resolve, but keep doing it. So what we did today, do it for longer time if you need. Wendy says that my anger changed to understanding. I feel calm now. That's wonderful, Wendy. Just understanding, sometimes, just understanding where it is coming from itself will make you feel a little bit better, because there is a sense of control again. Now, LK is asking, don't we accept the criticism of another person if we react less emotional to it? And doesn't this lead to even more criticism since we react as if it was right to judge us? Yeah. So, like I said, LK, that sometimes feels like if we don't respond back in anger and aggressive comments back, it may seem like we are condoning the behavior. We are saying it's okay to talk to us like that. Um, no, the answer to that is not necessarily. Okay, think about it. The reduction of anger is for your own self, because you are more likely to do things to make things even worse if you're really angry. You are typically getting into kind of either self-destruct or some destructive mode when you're angry. So it doesn't feel good to yourself and you may do destructive things. So to save yourself from this destruction is one way why you want to think about your anger and reduce it. Now, when it comes to how you want to communicate it to the other person, that's where, as I said, you still may want to talk to the person and tell them, this part really hurt me, or this part I really don't agree with you, or I would really appreciate it if you behaved differently in the future. So, you do want to communicate your feelings to the other person. But beyond that, because of reduction in anger, your reaction to that person's things will be different internally. And that's where you will have a better experience of this person. That person also will start reacting to you differently because of accepting them. So it doesn't mean they are just going to keep treating you the same way. You will communicate that with them, but you want the relationship or the pattern to change. There is a certain pattern you develop with a person when you are angry with them, pattern of explosion or destructive comments. You want to change that. I hope that's clear. Richard asks, for this meditation, I thought of a time in the past when I was angry. It seemed to research. I could feel the stress and the body tension very unpleasant. I do not think this is good physically for the body, for the mind. Why focus on this? Richard, that's a good question. Why focus on this? As I said, because whatever stress you felt, and if you did something about that or around that that was destructive, you want to change the pattern for the future. So you are allowing your body to feel it right now. But if you do this enough, Richard, if you do this for long enough time, your stress will be reduced. Your body will feel differently. The resurge of that intensity you felt, yeah, you don't want your body to feel that. But if you keep doing this meditation for long enough time, the surge or whatever you felt will be reduced. And you will make sense of it in a different way. Look, if you want to face a tiger, you have to look at the tiger in his eyes and say to the tiger, I'm not afraid of you. And for that purpose, you're allowing yourself to experience it. And you're not avoiding it. You're by facing it, you will make sense of it in a different way. Hans is saying a collateral problem after being angry is that perhaps most of the people keep thinking about the events that ignited the anger. And this can keep on for a pretty long time. Hans, what I think you're saying is that the events that ignited the anger, you keep thinking about it, you keep ruminating over it, you keep analyzing it, and for a long time. I believe that's what you're saying. Yeah, the events that ignited the anger, you keep thinking about it, and that is a problem. That doesn't feel good. Yes, and that's exactly why you want to do it in this meditation phase. And more you get into mindfulness meditation, your rumination or analysis outside of it will be reduced, because you know that there will be a time when you will think about it properly. Till that time, when your mind starts ruminating, you can tell your mind, or you are more likely to tell your mind, I'll figure it out when the right time comes. Then when you meditate and you make sense of that event on some level, you will see next time your rumination or your thinking about it all the time will be reduced. And that's why, Richard, again, going back to your question, that's why you are allowing yourself to experiencing the stress right now, because you don't want to go through the pattern and again and again. And like Hans, you said, you don't want to get into the rumination and keep thinking about it again and again. How do you change that? These are the type of things you want to change for yourself and for the sake of the other person. Remember, if it is anger against a person or about what they did to you, you want to change the relationship with that person. And the anger meditation will help you to do that. If it is an event that's bothering you, again, you want to interpret it differently. Okay, Hans. So looks like that's exactly what you were saying. So, guys, I guess we have gone way over time. Generally, I finish in 40 minutes. But please do write back if there's anything that comes to your mind. Anger is a common problem that we all experience, and we do want to work on it. So, do write back. And if I hear about it, then next time I will address those points again. So, I'll see you all in a week's time. And meanwhile, for the rest of the week, do your body sensation and breath awareness meditations whenever you don't know what else to do. And if there's any strong feeling that's coming up, do a feeling awareness meditation. And I'll see you next time.